but
retweet my Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll do it after it was recorded.
right.
Okay.
So yeah, Lisa, Cubs season has just started. Well, Lisa, everybody knows who you are, but can you just explain who you are really fast to everybody?
I don't know. So Margaret Larkin, I call her Margarita. That's my little nickname for her. And we used to work together and I miss her a lot. But my name's Lisa Fielding. I'm the WBBM afternoon anchor. I'm also a reporter as well in Chicago. I've been there almost 17 years now.
Wow. And then I did interview you a couple times, one for a video class.
Oh, wait, sorry. I have this okay, that's better. Okay. Is that better? Yes.
I'm a 17th century Dutch painting, but so I did interview for the Illinois News Broadcasters Association and stuff like that. But
that was a long time ago. I was up in the 11th floor. It was a different newsroom then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did that video many years ago, but then most recently I did interview for the INBA. So that was like a year ago or something.
Okay. Yes. We're all friends.
A couple of years ago. But okay, So you're a huge Cubs fan and you went to spring training, right?
I did. I'm a big baseball fan. I used to work in the minor leagues back in the 90s, cough, cough. And so, yes, I feel like I've been a lifelong Cub fan, but kind of most of my adult life. So yes, we just went to spring training last week. Real quick trip to Mesa. I've been doing that for 30 years. We like to, check out the Cubs, see how they're doing. But Sloan Park is beautiful. It's like, I think 4 years old right now, maybe more than that. Anyway, but we had a great trip. It was quick, but we got to see one game. They lost to the Dodgers, but it's only spring training. Big deal. They won their opener yesterday. So that's all that counts.
Yeah, that's great. And then what's it like when you go to spring training? I mean, do you talk to the players or what do you do over there?
I used to in the early 90s, I used to go and work there. And there's a place called Fitch Park that they would always work out at. And I was back in the day of like Jimmy Pearsall and of course, Ron Santo and Mark Grace and all those guys. I mean, it was like early mid 90s. So I used to work, but now I just go for pleasure right now. And it's just a quick trip that we only get really one Cubs game in. If we're there a little extra time, we try to get in maybe a game at Talking Stick, which is where the Diamondbacks play, or we go to the Scottsdale Stadium where the Giants play, because all those stadiums out there in the Cactus League are really beautiful. And it's fun just to catch a baseball game at a different stadium that you've never been. And also the White Sox play at Camelback, actually. It's another one.
And have you ever seen them play at spring training?
Yes, we went there a couple times, once for a Cub Sox. They take each other on at least several times during the spring training. So we went to Camelback, the Dodgers play there as well, to see the Cubs play. I think it was on St. Patrick's Day, probably, 3 or 4 years ago, actually. Because I remember drinking green beer at Camelback.
Whoa. Okay, yeah. What was that like?
It's always fun because, usually we have a really rough winter in Chicago. I mean, it's been pretty mild this year, but by the time you go to Arizona in March, you just have this renewal of spring and it's warm and you're like, and the baseball season is just around the corner and hopefully a warm, great summer in Chicago is not far behind.
Right. And then, okay, why do you love the Cubs so much? I know people are really crazy about the Cubs. But...
Well, interesting story. I grew up in a family of White Sox fans. Okay. My dad and my brother are diehard White Sox fans. I grew up going to Comiskey, seeing Harold Baines, Pudge, all that stuff. And so I had come from a sports family. I don't want to say I was being a rebel. My great grandfather used to have season tickets to the Cubs. So I do remember kind of hanging out with him when I was younger. But I definitely had to go over to the dark side. Just kidding, Sox fans. When I lived with my parents. So in college, I went to Bradley in Peoria and I started working for the Peoria Chiefs, which back then was a single A for the Cubs farm team. So that's kind of where I kind of moved over to the other side because I got to know a lot of the young players like Joe Girardi. All those guys used to play in Peoria. And I worked for the Chiefs there for a little while and got to know some of the players and the coaches. And from then on, I knew these guys and I knew the team and I knew the kids that were trying to get to the show. And I really covered the team big time in the 90s. So from that day on, I've always been a fan. Okay. And then I moved to Chicago. And I live on the north side. So makes it easier.
And then have you ever been literally a sports journalist in Chicago? What do you do with sports when you cover sports in Chicago?
news is sports in Chicago. So I've never been part of the sports department, but certainly I cover sports as news. And I also covered the Cubs in the World Series in 2016 in Cleveland. So that was like one of my highlights that I think a lot of Cub fans didn't think they'd ever see, of course. I worked for The Score back in the early 90s. I was the first woman in 1992 on The Score when they first kicked off on Belmont. And I used to fill in for George Offman, which he turned out, I don't know, 15, 20 years later to be my co-anchor on the weekends. So when he came to WBBM, I said, George, I used to fill in for you at The Score. And he's like, you did? I said, yeah. So that's where I met Ron Gleason first, in 1992. And then he ended up hiring me at WBBM in 2006. So we all kind of had a full circle moment. So I did do sports updates at The Score for a few months, filling in for George back in 1992.
Wow.
So I'm a little part of the history there.
Okay. Now, have you ever been in a locker room?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So what's that like?
In the 90s, it was tougher because there weren't any women and there was a lot of controversy about the guys walking around with no towels and things like that. But now everyone, it's a lot different now. So it's totally fine. It depends. I mean, I've been there for celebrations, but during regular press conferences and stuff, you don't really hang out in the locker room so much anymore. They have a press room, that kind of thing. So you don't have to worry about, guys walking around without towels anymore so much.
Right.
Because women in sports is a mainstream now.
Yeah. And then, so what are you, what's your next Cubs game?
Oh, good question. Well, I missed opening day yesterday. And I used to have a really great winning streak when it came to opening day. I'd never missed an opening day in probably, I don't know, a good 2 decades, because I've sat in the snow and the rain and the wind and the sun and everything. Because I am a diehard. I missed it yesterday because I had some other obligations. My co-anchor is on vacation, so he beat me to the vacation day. I also had a speaking engagement yesterday, so I'm hoping to get there next month in May for sure.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't answer my text, because when I left Keith, because when I left BBM, he's like, I said, what's your, or he said, oh, keep in touch. I said, okay, what's your number? And then he was saying, like he likes to, he doesn't mind texting. And so I texted him yesterday and no response. So thank you, Keith.
Okay. Yeah. He's on vacation for like 500 days. No, I'm kidding. He's got today and no, he had yesterday and today off, and he's off next week and the next couple days. So he's not back till April 12th. So maybe he's not checking his phone.
So I'll text him April 13th.
Okay, definitely.
Hello.
Exactly.
So, and he won't do an interview, by the way, but you got to convince him. Yeah, you got to convince him to do an interview with me. I tried for like 3 years and he won't do it. Yeah.
Oh, maybe he'll do it with me.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, then you can send me the audio.
He'll do it. He's a major veteran. Been at BBM for like 27 years. So
yeah. So when you go to a Cubs game, what do you like to eat or drink or drink?
All these questions, all these interesting questions. I'm kind of a very simple girl. I just go with the hot dog and the beer. Like I don't go into the buffalo meat and like all the crazy stuff. But there's nothing like a Wrigley dog, in my opinion. But I'm sure the environment contributes to the better tasting of the food. However, I believe that Guaranteed Rate does have better food as far as choices and stuff over on the South Side. But the Cubs are kind of catching up. They unveiled some new, like kind of exotic food items this year. So
yeah, I wonder what that is about the food. I mean, because it seems like every year, the stadium, the Sox stadium on the South Side, they'll say, okay, this is the food that we have this year. And they make a big deal out of it. I'm like, okay.
Yep. They have a media day just for the food.
Ooh. Oh, thanks for the invite, Sox.
I didn't get it either this year. They probably know, I'm a North Sider, so they won't invite me. But Terry Ketchner always goes, our colleague. He always does the food at South Side every year.
Nice. I didn't know that. Okay. I need to get that on their list.
Exactly. He'll take you with him next time, Margaret.
Right.
You can be the taste tester.
Yeah. So, when, like you said, you did some event yesterday.
Oh, yes. I was actually the keynote speaker at the National Alliance for Musical Theater, and they're based in New York. And I was honored. They asked me to be the keynote speaker, which I've never been a keynote anywhere. So it kind of freaked me out. But as you know, I'm a big ambassador of the arts and culture in Chicago. And over the last 5 years, I've really kind of established a beat for WBBM and really have a huge network within that community. So they asked me to talk about why I love the arts, how I grew up, loving the arts. My parents were ambassadors for the arts as well. How I kind of took my personal love for everything arts and culture and put it into my work, and how the podcast was created. And it was a bunch of fundraisers and kind of marketers from all around the country. So I didn't really know how I was going to connect or give them information, but they wanted to know how to better be ambassadors, I guess, in their own communities across the across the country, so they can get people to subscribe to their theater, get people back in the seats after COVID, that kind of thing. So I talked about the stories that I do and the stories that I choose to do and why I do that. I was telling a story about how Annie was in town a couple of weeks ago, and we've seen Annie how many times? A million times over 30 years. And so, do you really want to go see Annie again? Well, the question is, what's a new angle? Well, the dog that played Sandy was days away from euthanasia in a shelter and was adopted. And now she's this big star on Broadway. So we did that story. And that's what I was telling them. Well, you got to pick something like a cool angle. A hometown kid comes back and makes it big at your show. That's how you're going to get people in the seat. They want to come and see something familiar, but yet something different if they've seen the show a million times, because there's so many. Chicago, Wicked, Les Mis, Phantom. I mean, they've all been here a million times. And every time I get pitched like, hey, do you want to come and do Wicked? I'm like, done that a million times. But this time they said, well, why don't you go behind the scenes and talk to the stage manager and he can show you some of the elaborate costumes. And I said, excellent. And it was great on social media. And I think it got people coming because they saw behind the scenes. People love behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I talked to these people about that and just what I went through COVID with the actors. And, what they went through and how that industry took a major hit. It was the first to close and the last to open, and how they're still kind of struggling to get people back, and how, the Royal George Theater on Halsted closed for good, but Steppenwolf opened a brand new expansion. So some thrived and some had to close down, so COVID had different effects on different storefronts and bigger theaters. So I talked about that as well. So that was yesterday. And that was kind of a cool experience to meet people from across the country who advocate for theater in their own communities. So
how long was your keynote?
Well, originally they told me 20 minutes and I said, hell no, 20 minutes. I can't speak for 20 minutes. Oh my God. Really? And I have to write my own speech. Like I do a lot of emceeing, but they give me a script. And I just read it, like a robot, like Ron Burgundy, and I introduce everyone. But it kind of freaked me out thinking that I had to write my own experiences, write my own script. And I told them it probably won't go 20 minutes, but I'll take some question and answers. But I also thought a good time consuming thing was I played some of my work. Like I did a little montage of some of the stories that I did on musical theater. So that took like 5 minutes. So it was pretty good. So I think it works.
You did not manage to speak for 20 minutes, or you did?
I don't even remember.
Wow. Cause I would have no problem speaking for 20 minutes.
Are you serious?
Oh, of course. I love to speak somewhere.
Well, I guess if I was riffing like with you, we could speak for 20 minutes, but mine was kind of scripted out. I wrote it. The woman before me was kind of the warm up and she was just up there like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, that's not going to be me. I have it all written down. And I don't want to be like reading it, but I definitely had a script that I wrote that I timed myself and it was about 10 minutes. But then I played some of my work and then we took some questions. So it was fine. It all worked out. I don't know how long it was in the end, but it freaked me out to think of 20 minutes. So that's a long time.
Wow. Because you taught at Medill, right?
I did for 12 years. Actually.
Okay. So weren't you didn't you have to speak? Well, I guess it was given to the students.
But it's not a lecture class. Yeah. I mean, you teach as well. Mine was real world stuff. Like It was a real world entry level job. It was graduate school. It was TV reporting. So they had to come up with ideas, line it up, get the equipment, go out and do the interviews, come back, write the script on deadline. So like, I didn't have to really do it. I did not know lecturing. I just told them like the first day, how do you get story ideas? How do you source? Blah, 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 blah. And I told them that I do the same thing they do every day. Right. So it was a real world 8-hour job for them, my class. So that was, it was a lot of work, but I didn't have to do any really long speaking or anything like that. But it's what I do every day. So it's easy to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Because also, I mean, you're not a shy, like you're not fakely outgoing or anything. You're not one of these people who's truly shy, but then when you talk, all of a sudden you're
No.
outgoing. And you're
You
not
gotta be,
introverted,
gotta be
or
kind
you're
of
not a
crazy to be in this.
homebody or whatever.
No. You got to be kind of crazy and a little bit social to be in this crazy business. So
That's true. Wait, okay. So how do we score keynote speeches or opportunities to speak? Because I won't.
honestly, good question, because I was shocked when they came to me and said, we know, they knew my podcast. They knew, I just think it was Hannah over at the Chicago Shakespeare Theater. They were hosting the National Spring Conference this year. So I know Hannah, she's the media person at Chicago Shakes. And so she reached out to me and said, oh, we thought you'd be perfect, Lisa. You want to do this? So honestly, that's my first experience being sought after like that. But, I think it took a lot of work on my end that I didn't even know what I was doing, was connecting and getting a really good relationship with the arts and culture industry in Chicago, so they know me and they know that I advocate a lot for almost everything, in arts and culture in Chicago. So, I guess it made sense to them, which is great. But as
What
far
about
as
emceeing? What about emceeing? 'Cause you said you MC a lot.
Oh yeah. MC, I do a lot of charity work, like every year. And you attended my cruise on the ovarian cancer cruise.
Are they doing it again this year?
Probably. It's always
I'll
a beautiful time of the year in September. It's called the Tea Light Cruise, and it's an architectural boat that's on the river. And it's the National Ovarian Cancer Association. And we raise money for the local chapter. And it's mostly ovarian cancer survivors and their families. And if you're a woman, you should worry, you are at risk no matter what. And I always talk about that, how it doesn't have to be in the family. And it's kind of a silent killer, as Margaret, as well. I know you've had something happen in your family is like this as well. And that's why you attended to with me that time. But it's a cause close to my heart. And one of my best friends, Michelle Mecki, she's an ovarian cancer survivor, and she's also in PR, and she's the one that connected me with this coalition. And so they asked me back every year to do it. And I do it for free. It's a great cause. I love it because I love to be an advocate for women's health as well, to tell people what they need to do to stay healthy and to not ignore the signs, because it's one of the scariest cancers out there, because you could not have one symptom until it's too late. So I feel like I try to be a messenger and also an advocate for other women like you and me.
Yeah. And I want to go this year too. So let me know. That was incredible.
Okay. It's always a beautiful night in September. It always is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did, and this time I'll wear my teal, because I was so, spaced out. I didn't think of wearing it. I didn't know we should wear teal.
Exactly. So that's one of the many things that I do. I've emceed other stuff too. I did like celebrity bartending for, I think it was last year. We were raising money for first responders. That was at Caddyshack in Rosemont. That was super fun. And then I did something for the Wood Family Foundation. That's Carrie Wood. And they always do it during the Cubs convention. And they have Cubs players, media people, and we all bartend for charity. And they have a big auction and stuff like that. And the Wood Family Foundation is mentorship for kids 6th grade through high school I think it's in the Lawndale neighborhood, at-risk kids. So all good cause.
But when you were bartending, did you have to mix drinks, or did you just do?
That's the first question I asked. I'm like, I've never bartended. Like, right. What am I gonna have to do? Not really. I think it was like 2 house wines, 2 beers, and like a mixed like cocktail for the night that was already mixed up. So I have some funny stories because, they invite Bonnie Hunt and of course Carrie Wood, the guys from Chicago Fire, and like Taylor Kinney and all those guys. Jesse Spencer were there, and John Cusack was there with me one time, and he was freaking out because he didn't know how to make a certain drink, and he was really? Like asking me, and I'm like, don't ask me. I'm like, I don't know how to make this drink. And he like hugged me, and I was like, oh, John Cusack just hugged me. Anyway, but it's a wonderful night for charity, and people just go nuts seeing the celebrities. Like, they don't care about me, but John Cusack, Taylor Kinney, they were crazy over Taylor Kinney. Okay, he's a really cute guy from Chicago Fire. But it's always a really, really fun event. They haven't had it the last few years because of COVID. I hope they bring it back, because the year after the Cubs won the World Series, it was a craziness. It was at Harry Carey's at Navy Pier, And, of course, Anthony Rizzo was there and Chris Bryant and David Ross, and people were just going crazy. It was packed and sold out, but they raised a lot of money for a good cause. So I've done that probably 7 years now. So
it's fun. And then, so are you doing these things like every week or what's,
No. Oh my God. No, I mean, I do emceeing maybe 3 to 4 times a year. It's not I mean, I'm trying to think about another one coming up. I don't think I have anything right now, but they come randomly. I mean, Wood Family Foundation is every January, usually the Cubs convention, mid-January. The Tea Lights is always end of September. And, oh, wait, I am doing something. I can plug it. May 11th, I am the MC for the Guest House, which is a wonderful place that I ended up doing a Made in Chicago on. No, it was a Difference Maker. That's my series I do. And I thought, this is a great place. It's an apartment building that houses people and families who are getting medical treatment, cancer, all that kind of stuff. And they give them free housing while it's kind of like a Ronald McDonald House for adults. And so I'm going to be there MC on May 11th at their annual fundraiser, because it's another place that I just connected with people. I love what they do. I've seen the people that have made a difference for them and agreed to do something for them to help them bring people in. So I just cut the video promo for them today, actually. So that's coming up in May.
Is that posted anywhere, the video?
Yes, it's on my page.
Yay.
Yes.
Which page? Because you got like 50.
I don't.
Is it Instagram? What is it?
Actually, it's okay. If you find Guest House, it's the Guest House Chicago. It's on the Instagram page today.
Okay.
They tagged me on my personal page, so it's there. And just look for Guest House on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. Another great organization that I'm happy to help raise money for.
Okay, I'm bringing that up to see if I can share the screen. Okay.
Okay.
That's cool. And then, so where can people find you on it? As I look this up, the Guest House is a Guest House hotel, or what is it?
No.
Foundation.
Guest House, Chicago. Yeah, foundation.
Right? Okay, let me look for the video. But anyway, here you are. Okay, I'm going to play it right now. I'm going to share my
outfit because I did it today. Yeah,
I'm going to share my screen right now.
Wait, okay.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
here we go. Okay, here we go.
Ooh, there it is. Yes. Yep.
Whoops, sorry.
I did that today. Yep.
I'm trying to. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Building at Newsradio WBBM. Mark your calendars. May 11th at the Walden in Chicago. It's the annual fundraiser for the Guest House. The house always wins. They'll feature entertainment, including live jazz, a casino, food, cocktails, and even a magician. Get your tickets at guesthousechicago.org. We'll see you there.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. That took me about 20 takes to get that right.
Oh, really? Did you do it? Did you do it while you were like between being on the air, or where'd you go?
It was before 3 o'clock, so like 2 o'clock. But I kept erasing it because I kept screwing it up. So anyway, that's the magic of luckily just like redoing it. So anyway, we got it right. That's coming up May 11th.
Nice. And then, so another thing is you do travel a lot. I can't keep track because you'll be like, oh, I just went to such and such. I'm like, what? It's like I post on Instagram, like, okay, I haven't been there in a while, but okay. So where did you travel this year?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm a late bloomer. I did not get my passport until I just said passport. Weird accent sometimes. I didn't get my passport until I was 45. So I had a lot of catching up to do because I worked nights and weekends in small markets. I had no money. I had no time. I just did nothing. I did not travel at all until my 40s. So I have gone to Greece a couple times because that's one of my favorite places on earth. Let's see, I've been to Amsterdam. I went to Paris. We went to Dubai in 2019, which was amazing. And last year we went to Greece again for a wedding of a mutual friend of ours. And this year I'm going to London, which is somewhere I've never been. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's very unlike me not to have things all planned by now, but I don't. I got to get going on that. But I have to admit, we're going to see the Cubs Cardinals play at London Stadium as well. So that was kind of the catalyst as to why to go. And we had our tickets for 2020. But obviously we know what happened there. So this is the rescheduled 2020 trip. So we're going for a week and we're just going to the game for one day, but lots of things to do there. And I'm just kind of just starting to explore like what we need to do as far as excursions and hotels. And, I always ask my advice from my fellow travel warriors on Facebook, like where's the best places to go, things to see. I love finding unusual hidden treasures that maybe not every tourist, knows about. And I'm a huge sunset chaser. So like everywhere I go, I find a cool place to watch the sunset, like within the United States, overseas, everything. So that's kind of my thing. It's like finding the sunset. And in Greece, every night is a sunset ritual. They literally worship the sunset and they have these huge rituals every night. So I was like in heaven there. So anyway.
Oh, I was wondering now. Oh, I never knew this, that you didn't talk. Yeah. Well, actually, we didn't have enough time to talk when we used to work together. But now I understand, because I was wondering why you travel so intensely and stuff. It's because you had to wait a while because of your career.
Oh, yeah. And obviously, I've always had the photo bug. Right. And I'm a huge photographer. I don't use anything fancy. I just use my iPhone. When I went to Paris, I bought this like $500 Nikon. I carried it around for one day and then I said, screw it. It was too heavy. And I realized that the iPhone took just as great pictures. Right. And so I love traveling for many reasons, but a big reason is my photography hobby for sure. And I even I published a book called Drinks with a View. And everywhere I went, I had like a cocktail with a view in the back. So it's like a coffee table book / travel book.
I didn't know that. Yeah. When did you do that?
Oh my gosh, probably 10 years ago. Okay. I could have added a whole volume since then, obviously. So you can get that on, let's see, I think it's blurb.com. I have it there. People can order it if they want. But so I love photography. So that's a big reason why I travel as well. But
wait a second. I didn't know. What? I mean, I've known you for like 8 years.
I know. Well, we never talked about it, I guess. I don't really like, hey, by the way, I got a table, coffee table book. I don't really tell people that often. So, you're looking for it?
I hear it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at you. My life is flashing from my eyes.
That is so cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Now, guess where that is? Do you have any idea where that is? Where the cover is?
Is it New York?
No, but look at the skyline.
Chicago.
Yeah.
No, it looks okay, because it looks a little different than. All right. That's really cool.
That was the Shed Aquarium. Have you ever been on Jazzin' at the Shed? There's that beautiful deck out there. Okay, so these are all kind of old, but that one, that's on the Shed Aquarium. That's at Hollywood Beach where my parents have a condo. That was kind of staged, but I did it there. So that's Hollywood Beach, Florida. Let's see, that's Amsterdam. That's Epernay, France, when we went champagne testing. Yeah. And I think that was at Dampignan, I think. There's Greece, yes. And that's a place in Chicago that's not even there anymore. That's on the North Branch of the Chicago River there.
Yeah, what's sad is that places disappeared during the pandemic. Oh yeah, I see. This is Chicago because
that's the tiki boat. I used to take out a tiki boat every summer. Yeah. And yes, and the booming metropolis of Rockford, Illinois gets a shout out in there. That's large cool. And small around the United States and the world. I could actually add a lot more to it now because I've been to a lot of different places since then. But it was fun to start. That's game.
Well, do you also post these on Instagram after the book came out?
Yeah. I mean, there's Santorini. This is one of my friends' pools up in Deer Park. So it runs the gamut for that. But I could probably do a whole new volume of the things that I've gone since then. So
wow, that is so cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, everyone thought I was like an alcoholic because they were like, "Why are you always taking pictures of drinks?" And I said, "There's a method to the madness. Believe me."
Well, I mean, alcoholic is also it's overkill. I mean, it's not like you have 10 empty bottles or something.
I know. But all I did was post like photographic pictures of drinks, and they were like, "What's up with that?" I'm like, "Just wait, I'm making a book."
That's
so anyway,
cool.
I think that was just the little preview there. So
that is so
anyway.
Cool.
Thanks.
Okay, so now I understand more about your travel. Now what's more that I should know since I knew you for so long? I knew you at work for so long. Okay, but what about the theater situation? So are you going to what's a big theater right now? Are you going to do more theater in the summer?
Oh yes. Let's see. Well, we've got a bunch of great shows coming up, through Broadway Chicago. MJ's coming. Jagged Little Pill is coming. Those are some ones on my list that I would go, even if I wasn't involved. What else? I just took my mom to see the Tina Turner musical last weekend. Steppenwolf's got a ton of stuff going on. Goodman. What else? I mean, I could go on and on about the things. Cabaret Zazu. Oh my God. That's like my favorite show of all. If people follow me on Facebook, they think I'm a little obsessed. It's at the Cambria Hotel. And if you want something really, really, really unusual, it's inside an old Spiegel tent, and it has mirrors and velvet, and it's like a circus tent, and all these amazing, amazing, talented people perform like right in the middle of the circus tent. And I'm sorry, I keep getting text here and keeps binging.
But it's people saying, wait, where are you going? Oh yeah.
So it's a dinner theater, and you go and have a 4-course meal, and you see this 3-hour show, singers, dancers, comedians, acrobatics. There's roller skaters, there's jugglers. I mean, people are just amazingly talented. And I've gotten to know these amazing, talented people. And the MC of Cabaret Zazu is one of my best friends, Frank Ferrante. He's so awesome. Liv Warfield is someone who's an amazing singer who grew up in Peoria, and she was discovered by Prince, and she lived at Paisley Park with him for a long time. She is starring in this show. It's a really hidden treasure. It's in the Cambria Hotel, which is right next to Garrett's Popcorn, which is right next to the Nederlander, the old Oriental. So if you're looking for something fun to do, that's where you should go, is Cabaret Zazu. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I took a marketing class at City Colleges. It was online, and one of the case studies was Nederlander. Have you ever met that family?
No, but they have obviously a lot of name recognition in New York as well on Broadway.
Yeah, because they're telling us, they're showing us like how they did their marketing. I mean, it was a case study of what they're doing, how they find out, how they attract people, how they have different promos and so forth. It's pretty cool.
Yes. So I'm always looking for something new and different. And I'm a big experience girl in Chicago. So I'm always looking for something different to do. And when I find something I love, like I shout it from the rooftops and I tell everyone else to come, and I'm a big supporter of these talented people who sometimes are struggling artists. Right. And I think, and I always say in another lifetime, I'd probably be in that business and somehow, so I'm a big ambassador for those kind of people who really bring joy to other people's lives. Right. But they count on us to pay their bills by going and being patrons. So.
Yeah. But you can be like, you also really you also really promote the city, Chicago. And
I love the city. I love what it has to offer. And like I said, if I find something that I love or a person I think is hugely talented. I discovered another singer. She was at Oddly at the Park about 2 months ago. Apparently she was a contestant on The Voice, which I wasn't aware of, but she sings Gaga and Elton John and The Cure, and she's a beautiful singer. And so I want to say, hey, everyone, come see Lauren, because she's so talented and we really need to make this woman a bigger star, So I try to help in that situation just because I don't know. I believe in people like that. And the talent they have is a gift. I mean, I couldn't like that if you paid me $1 million.
Okay. I know you're from the suburbs originally, but what do you think about people who say they don't want to come to the city because they think there's a bunch of shooting here and so
forth? You and I have talked about this many times, right? Yeah. We lived through the pandemic. We lived through social unrest. Well, I think we as media to some degree have responsibility to portray the city in a fair way. And sometimes I think suburbanites watch the news and they think it's way too dangerous. I travel and I say I'm from Chicago, and some people say, oh, you dodging bullets there? And it makes me so mad because I think that's what they think. And then I look at myself and think, well, I'm the media. So maybe it's my fault too, not my personally, but my in general, to not present a crime blotter every day. Yes, there's pockets of crime, but we work and you live in the Millennium Park area. And yes, we have some random issues there, but overall it's very, very safe on a regular basis. So I get kind of, I don't want, forgive the pun, triggered when people start talking about how they can't come to the city because it's so dangerous. And they don't really know the true story. And they're just getting what they're getting off the news. So that's when I have to look intrinsically, editorially, as what we're doing as news people to portray the city that way. Why do people believe it's so dangerous? Is it? or are we portraying it that way?
No, and also if you look at the crime reports, it's usually clustered in certain areas. But the thing is, sometimes the police put out these things because they're looking for somebody. So they'll say looking for a man in his mid 40s who, you know.
Oh, sure. We're the messengers. We help them get the bad guys for sure. But, you know, if two guys on a corner selling drugs shoot each other, you know, yes, they have families and yes, they have lives, but is it something that needs to be reported to the masses, you know, over and over and over and over? You know, we have a duty to report what's happening in the city, good and bad, but sometimes we emphasize the bad and put it, that's just my opinion. I think we need to balance the good with the bad as well. We still have a duty to tell every story and what's going on. People want to know if their neighborhood is safe or not safe or what's going on, or if their neighbor got shot sitting in their living room. I mean, that's awful because there is a lot of random crime like that. But sometimes I think we tend to tabloid it, which many news departments do. And so we have to just talk about that editorially every day about how we're portraying the news and if we are emphasizing too much crime.
So what do you want to tell the people who are afraid to come to the city? Because I try to tell them it's okay, but.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I live and work and walk down there and play down there every day, every night. Knock on wood. Luckily, I've been safe. I've never been carjacked. I've never been mugged, but not a lot of people can say that, right? If that happened to me, maybe I would have a different perspective. But maybe I take my safety for granted as well. But I'm aware of what's around me. But now the Loop, when I'm down there for shows, it's bustling. People are out and about all the time. So I feel safe for the most part, for sure. And I hope that more suburban people can still come down now. And it's not as bad as I think that the media is portraying mostly. That's my opinion.
Would you say that there are more people downtown than there were like a year ago?
Oh, yes.
Right now? Okay.
I get out of a show at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock and it's like packed. Wow. Walking around, especially if it's warm out, obviously, you know, or, you know, go and get a beer or a drink at the Dearborn across from the Nederlander. They're in line at Garrett's getting popcorn. I mean, people are everywhere. I mean, my coinker Keith, he walks home a lot because he lives in the South Loop and he says people are always out when he's going home at 9 o'clock. Yeah. You know,
but what do you think what do you think the city is? Do you have a cat?
Yes.
Hello. Oh my gosh, so fluffy. Oh, so cute.
This is Charlie.
So cute.
They follow me wherever I am. I'm in my office. He wants to be on camera, apparently.
Okay. So what do you think the city should be doing to get more people to come down?
I don't know. I mean,
they need more ambassadors. They need more people to show pictures and videos
like of course.
Because I've taken videos at night. I haven't posted them yet, but I've taken videos at night. Like, this is downtown at night. There's nothing happening.
Right. Emphasize the positive of all the fun things that are happening on a regular basis. You know, that's really tough to answer because that's not my job. Tourism is bustling in Chicago. They've really, really bounced back since the pandemic. I think, I don't know. The whole crime issue is tough, right? You know,
it's a perception.
I mean, every city is experiencing crime since COVID. But I don't even think Chicago's in the top 10 as far as, you know, dangerous cities. But I think what we have to emphasize is the downtown is so clean. Nothing against New York, but I was there 2 Novembers ago, and I think they were having a garbage strike or something, and they don't have alleys. So the garbage was just everywhere. Ew. And, you know, people were out at like 3 a.m. loitering in New York. And I was like, wow, you know, it's just as bustling as Chicago, but I was more, I don't know, worried about my safety in the middle of the night there than in Chicago. I don't know. Chicago's cleaner. Everything's more centrally located downtown. And I feel that people need to know how much Chicago has done to improve not only the riverfront. Oh my God, I feel like the Riverwalk is one of the biggest improvements they've ever done. Everything along there, all the rooftop bars and lounges and beautiful hotels that have rooftops. Yeah. I mean, so many things have happened in the last 15 years to improve the river area, South Loop, West Loop. Oh my God, West Loop, the whole Randolph corridor.
Oh my gosh. That is mind blowing. And if you go on West Madison, Yeah, Fulton Market. Also, if you go in West Madison, it rivals the Gold Coast for how upscale it is.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And Fulton Market is exploding.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything is setting up in Fulton Market. That's such a beautiful little area too.
Yeah.
So that whole hot area of the West Loop has transformed in the last 20 years for sure. And the South Loop too, like down by the firehouse, past like 11th Street on Michigan Avenue. So, and that whole area, like by a little north of Soldier Field is a little community, a little residential community. My friend Lisa Costi, who works over at Hubbard Radio, lives over there. And it's such a cute little place. It's all these high rises and little green parks and stuff. So there's new like residential neighborhoods popping up in the middle of like the urban jungle,
Yeah. Yeah. And also, many years ago, I was working at like Art Expo or something like that at Navy Pier. And I met somebody from New York and they said, oh, we're going to go to such and such, like West Randolph, to go out for dinner. And I said, oh, that neighborhood's gotten a lot better. So then they went and they came back. I saw them the next day or something. And they said, there was nothing there. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That neighborhood used to have like nothing.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And now it's just incredible.
But we're going tomorrow to City Winery, one of my favorite music venues. And that's right at the end of Randolph. And that's a gorgeous place. I've seen a million concerts there. They have a beautiful outdoor patio. It's their own winery. Take a tour, all that stuff. So I mean, I'm always
an ambassador for the city.
I guess I am.
They see the city should use you for promotion.
Yeah, I know, right?
You and the people you love.
Jobs. Exactly. Yeah. So
okay, now there's another thing I want to ask you. Now you don't have to answer, but you and I are similar age, okay? But okay, so a mutual friend of ours said that you have like you're one of these people, like you make friends, you explore, and other people our age are not necessarily like that. And what do you
well, I think it depends on your life situation, like what you've chosen in life. Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you travel? You do not travel? Are your kids involved in sports? They're still under 10 years old. That all affects your lifestyle for sure.
Right.
I mean, I have a friend who had 2 kids in sports for 15 years and they really didn't get out too much. And now the kids are in college and now they're out with me a lot. So it's all life stage. Now I'm not married. I don't have kids. I didn't take that path. So I have a lot more freedom, but it took me 30 years really to have the financial freedom and honestly, a schedule that's absolutely normal. I worked weekends at BBM for 12 years.
Yeah.
I worked weekends and nights for 30 years. Like now I'm finally Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, which is mind blowing. At first, I didn't even know what to do with myself, but you get to learn how to have a better work-life balance, and where you're not working all the time, your life outside of work becomes more important. And again, I'm a late bloomer and that's just happening to me now.
But that's great because it's never too late to do anything, because there are some people who have a great time and then they get older and they become very, they get in a rut. And
I'm always, I say to people, no matter how old you are, take care of yourself so you're healthy first, because when you're not healthy, you can't really do anything or have the energy to do. But explore your city, find new experiences, like forget the stuff. Like I don't need any more stuff in my life. What I want is experiences and travel. And so looking for things to do. And people call me the Julie McCoy of my friend group because I'm always planning things. Yeah. And so that's just what brings me joy. And I hope to spread it with other people. Like, hey, I found this new speakeasy. I love speakeasies. So I said, this great, new speakeasy, let's go and do that experience, So I do that kind of stuff. There was they have this candlelight string quartet that plays at the Theater at the Lake, and they played ABBA one night, and it was a string quartet by candlelight. Wow. It was freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
And like people don't understand, those are like such unique experiences that it's not that expensive. I think the ticket was like $40, but it was something I'll never forget. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to do, is just kind of push yourself to find new experiences. And when you leave it, you're going to feel more enriched in life and want to do more. So.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that when I met you some years ago, when we worked together, I was like, okay, is she for real? Like, come on, like she seems. And then I went to that. I've seen you over the years, but also then I went to that ovarian boat experience.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, she really is like this, because I saw how you were talking with your friends and your parents, and
my parents were there. Yeah. That was the first time they came. Yeah. And I'm blessed that both my parents are still alive and they're healthy and they're active. Every day I knock on wood because they're doing great, and that affects the circle of life and our age too. I mean, we may have parents that we have to take care of and things like that. I do not have to do that just yet, but my day will come, I'm sure. And that will affect probably my lifestyle, but that's again, circle of life. But right now, I have the freedom to do pretty much anything that I want. And I feel like I sacrificed and deserve it after so many, I started working in this business at 18 years old, so it's been 35 years of really, I just say, if you want to be a journalist, you really can't be money motivated. You're going to, work weekends, holidays, nights, and you're going to be tested. You're either going to hate it or love it. And you'll make money eventually, but you really got to stay in with it for a long time for it to pay off in any way. So it's a passion.
Yeah, because that's true. Because when I left BBM, I thought, whatever, maybe I won't do radio. And then a couple months passed. And I was walking from the gym and I was working and stuff somewhere in other places. And I thought, gosh, I really love radio. I'm going to see if there's something part-time somewhere. And then I applied to WGN. It was I did not plan. Yeah, there's something about it that's really great. Ooh, cute.
They don't like that I'm not paying attention. Look at this.
Wait, how many cats do you have?
I just have 2. I have 10, Margaret.
Yeah, right.
I'm just joking. No, this is Charlie. Charlie is on my lap. He's not liking that I'm not paying attention to him right now.
So cute, fluffy.
Anyway,
when you travel, who takes care of your cats?
I have a cat sitter and she's a vet tech and I love her and I trust her and she takes good care of them for sure.
Nice.
They're low maintenance pets if you want to travel. So
that's true.
But they took care of me during the pandemic for sure. They're pandemic. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. The pandemic was rough.
Yes. About that,
I mean, for some people, it was great, like for my husband, but okay.
I know.
So, all right. So I guess that's it. But I'll check in with you again because I like live streaming. So, and this is going on. This is
you at work. It's been fun.
I know. I had a great time. And also I have to say that you were the first person to help me there because I was a writer. And I was, I rarely work there. And I was like, wait, what's going on here? And then you came up to me and you said, look, if you can't find certain stuff, you should do X, Y, Z. I'm like, wow, she helped me for like no reason. You're on the air. Usually on air people aren't like that. So yeah.
I am I always say everyone eats out of the poison pie. You know how you and I feel about that. No one is better than anyone else and everyone contributes to our success. And I'll never believe or act or treat anyone less than ever because I've been there. I was the associate producer, reporter, weekend anchor, while everyone else, and I experienced that hierarchy and it was the worst. And so I never, ever, ever treat anyone differently because they might not be the anchor of the news, but you were the assistant producer, you were the writer. We couldn't do our job without you. And I make sure even the interns know that they're important. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's very true. And I know you write a lot of blogs and things about that experience as well. So you and I.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stop this right now.